So continuing with the 1950s through the 1970s. So the first magazine we'll talk about is the one on the left. So in this magazine cover, we see a woman being abducted by a winged seraph from someone who can be assumed to be her husband. This is not the case, however, because the winged seraph is actually rescuing rather than abducting the woman from an intermediate camp controlled by the Mad Monster of Mogo. The caption of the Mad Monster of Mogo states, "Every lovely woman was a frail toy to the Mad Monster of Mogo." So this caption, as well as the story that goes along with the image, perfectly parallels with the gender roles in the 1950s. So basically, women were depicted as weak, and a common theme was a woman's place was in her house to take care of her husband and child. And so this dependency was illustrated by illustrators, for example, on this cover image, and they were able to depict women as weak and in need of being rescued due to this dependency. So this was the early 1950s, and in contrast to the early 1950s, the late 1960s was a period of change for women. Basic feminist goals regarding the portrayal of women were accepted by most. For example, 1 in 4 women with children over the age of 16 had paying jobs. However, these paying jobs were still 60% that of men, meaning that the jobs or the changes had their limits. The World of Women perfectly highlights both the changes and the reluctance of change during the late 1960s. The World of Women is it's a story in which 5 powerful women rule the world, but one of the women goes rogue, and so the main narrator must disguise himself and think as a woman to save the world. This story is advanced for its time because instead of portraying depicting a story in which a male hero saves the day in a male run world, it depicts a story in which a male hero must actually dress himself, act, and even think as a woman to save the world. But as you can see from the cover of this image, it looks as if the woman is in need of being rescued. She looks distraught. She's being dragged behind a spaceship. This is actually the male hero's disguise. It's his bodysuit. But the illustrator of the magazine was able to get away with making the woman look this way because there's still a reluctance of change of the portrayal of women.